Don't underestimate chaos. There's a power in it if you only dared to see, dared to look, dared to peg. There's a power that most people wouldn't even dare think about unpacking. But there's a power, there's a hidden sort of machine, that alchemizes, that transforms the chaos into something that's for you. And the same stage that you are bleeding on is the same stage that you are licking your wounds, the same stage that you are sipping on wine. So I'll say that again, the chaos is a stage where if you're receptive enough and you dare to look, you dare to trust, and you dare to power through, is the same stage, the same platform, the same ground where you're sipping your wine and basking in the truth, in the know, in the things that actually set you free. You are free, but when you shackle yourself, when you shackle yourself, because no one can, but when you shackle yourself with limitations that come from thoughts, and that too coming from perceptions that have been laid out by society, you shackle yourself, you bound yourself to these patterns of thought, this way of thought that have been brought about, that have been constructed, that have been laid out, that have been conjured, and you feed it. The moment you welcome it inside your space, so to speak, you're investing the energy of I welcome you. And once you do that, you're bound, you're tethered. You're tethered to a lie, you're tethered to something that's just made up, and you shackle yourself. So no one can actually limit you, no one can actually perimeter you, no one can actually bound you without your consent. But moreover, you are actually the one that's volunteering, if you will, to actually limit yourself to a certain way of thought, to a certain way of being, to a certain way of doing, to a certain way of navigating, to a certain way of ascending, to a certain way of going about, to a certain way of believing, to a certain way of faith even. And that has got to stop. And I say that with the intention of having you realize your damn power and the truth of the fact that you are already free. And so the moment you let all of that go, the moment you let all of that go, chaos, I told you. The moment you let all of that go is the second that you embrace, that you now welcome who you truly are, that you now welcome the truth. And again, not everyone is ready for the truth. Not everyone is ready to face the music. Not everyone is ready to dig deeper. Not everyone is ready to even question. And it's sad, but the hesitance comes from fear. It's all rooted in fear, and it's the only reason why so many are reluctant. They are so familiar with a certain way, certain set way of going about, of believing what's trending, what works for everybody, what's normalized, quote unquote normalized, that any sort of deviation would mean, well, would probably open a can of worms, and it would make them uncomfortable, it would disconcert them, it would make them wonder what others might think if now they started navigating the human experience and living on a roll of authenticity, on a roll of ascension, on a roll of who they actually are. And they just can't seem to want to take that leap because, again, they are so accommodated, self-accommodated and accommodated as well, for as long as they've known and they've practiced, what have you. And so it's not easy, right? So on a psychological level, while you can and one can comprehend it, it doesn't quite make sense why you would continue navigating an experience, even if only finite, even if only fleeting. But it makes no sense that when things are ordained to be simple, that you would rather and you opt to navigate through complexity, through things that are mere constructs, perceptions that can be tweaked. You can just create your own reality. And so there's a lot, there's a lot you could do to just simplify. And it baffles, and yet it's also comprehensible why so many either fall back or choose to suffer. Why we choose to suffer when we can choose to not set ourselves free, but remind ourselves of who we actually are, and that is freedom itself. We are free. And so the second that you realize your own power, the second you realize who you actually are as consciousness, and the expansive boundlessness of infinite possibilities that you not just harness, but that is of you and from you and is you, why do we choose to suffer? So take of this what you will, but I feel that we can all make our own reality. We can all create, and we're constantly manifesting, we're constantly creating anyway. So think about what conscious creation could actually bring about. And while chaos does alchemize, it does transform for you, it's still worth acknowledging and worth inviting and worth embodying the truth about your power, and how at any instance you can say, this is the kind of reality that I want to experience, and actually experience it.